everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, that juice. It is June the 27th, 2024, and today the topic is You Shall Not Covet. Happy Thursday. It's Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you guys I hope you had a wonderful Wednesday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. Highlights from yesterday. My show that I was supposed to record ended up getting canceled. I did have my meeting. I have a coaching client or a client that I'm coaching. Um, and we were able to do her meeting yesterday, so that was good. And then I went on to the church, man. I was doing the night of worship with the kids, which we call Jam Night, Jesus and Me. And I think all went well. It came together. But yeah, that's pretty much what my day looked like in a nutshell. Um, I mean, there's things to say and updates and stuff, but I mean, I think it might be more important for me to get into this juice this morning. So let's do that, right? The juice this morning. You shall not covet. All right, I guess it's confession time. Confession time. All right, so I hope that you all appreciate your girl, right? Because if GSL don't do nothing else, we're gonna be open, honest, and transparent up on this platform. So that's one thing I can thank and praise God for. And so with that being said, yes, I guess I do have a bit of a confession. I see that I'm still, in this pruning season, and apparently there's some things that still need to be pruned. And I thought I was been working this or whatever the case may be, but ultimately I would say the inspiration for today's conversation maybe just be myself. Yes, little old me. I'm calling myself out this morning. Come on, bring yourself here, girl. I'm gonna tell y'all what's going on, and hopefully it will encourage and inspire you. Okay, so long story short, this coveting thing, man, it is so easy to do. It's so easy to get caught up in coveting, right? Um, why you say that, Miracle? Well, social media and the media itself is an easy place to end up coveting, right? And again, y'all know my background is in theater and things of that nature, entertainment. And so obviously, from childhood, we are being quote unquote groomed to look at someone else's life and maybe even envy that, right? Covet after someone else and what they have. Kids do that. My son is doing it already. As soon as you got something he wanted, he could have had the same thing, but he wants yours, So, I mean, it's not something, I guess it's something that's inherently in us, because I don't think I went out of my way to teach him that, in his 5 years of being here. But again, this is just one of those, I guess, quote unquote sins, right? This is just one of those things that come with the fall. And so it's so important that God put it as a part of the 10 Commandments, right? And I think we just kind of brush it to the side sometimes. We don't think much of it. But I guess today I wanted to, put a highlighter slash spotlight on this conversation or this word covet. Because maybe I was finding myself coveting even this morning. And like I said, it's so easy to do, especially with social media, right? So let me tell you guys about what's happening, right? What was I coveting, right? So I think I've talked to you guys about this before, but here it is again. So without going into too deep about like who it is and all that different type of stuff, I've been sharing with you guys that I follow different people on social media, maybe for different reasons. Sometimes it's for encouragement, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I use other people as motivation, right? I follow some people because I like the way, their style, right? I like the content that they create, or I like, the products that they have, or I like their business savvy or things of that nature. And sometimes, it can be that innocent that you following certain individuals and you looking and, seeing what they got going on, what they do and what they posted, things like that. But then it starts to get a bit much when you're like, dwelling so deep on that thing to where you are envious and you want it, and why ain't it yours? And you start questioning God about you and your own life, right? So don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing. For example, there's one particular young lady that has, she's got her business, it's popping. I done support it as well, and things of that nature. And it's great, right, to see a young lady thriving, right, and out here winning, right, and things like that. Now, again, I don't know what all is going on in her personal life. She may not be winning, right? But from the perspective of entrepreneurship, she seems to be winning. From the perspective of like being a young lady traveling the world, she seems to be winning. And I guess I am. Now, again, I don't follow her with the intention to be envious, right? I do again use that as motivation. Man, I need to get me some vacation planned, or man, that's great that this young lady was able to do this and do that, and maybe there's some things that I can incorporate into my own business endeavors, or whatever the case may be. But I believe that the enemy, right, will be quick to use like open doors to make that genuine, maybe interest or whatever the case may be, turn into this coveting or envy and the bigger thing, right? So we got to be careful, right? We got to be careful out here with, again, the things that we see, and allow ourselves to dwell on. And again, I know I'm not the only one, man. Listen, how many times did we watch Pimp My Ride back in the day? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times did you watch what Cribs? When you seeing all the celebrities in their homes and things like that. And again, sometimes those things can be motivation. Wow, that's great style. Maybe that's great decor. Sometimes again, you could be, innocently watching something. I know back in the day, I was watching a lot of, marriage videos, and people shopping for their wedding dresses and stuff, innocently just thinking like, oh, getting ideas for my own day and my own time. But then ultimately, you start to feel something a little different. You start maybe again envy and doubt and fear and maybe even anger, like, Lord, well, why isn't it my time now? And I'm ready, all the different things and thoughts that we can have. So calling myself out this morning for, I guess, dwelling a little too long and a little too deep on looking at someone else's life and things like that. I decided to go deeper with this concept of covet, and I hope that it will encourage and inspire you. So what does covet mean? Let's take a look. The definition says yearn to possess or have something. Yearn to possess or have something. Now, again, I mean, we can talk about these big things like coveting again someone's home, coveting someone's, wife, and things like that the Bible, addresses. But I mean, can we say that again? This is all around us, man. The commercials got us coveting about food. They got us coveting about, whatever it is. And sometimes we have access to whatever it is. It's like, oh, okay, I want to purchase this, or I want to get that, or whatever. But then, like, what if you're in a place where you can't get this and you can't get that, and then you still dwelling on that thing? Like, that's when it becomes beyond just, an ad, or beyond just, taking a look at something that you could get one day, or whatever the case may be. And so I think, again, right now it's not about just calling out what's happening around us, but I think I'm more so, I guess, calling out what's happening within us when we're dwelling on the thing longer than we should. So let's get into this conversation. I don't know, Lord, do I need to do more testifying? Golly, I done said enough, done. All right, well, let me call another thing out of So here's the thing I think that helps me to think about this morning, or help me to break this down and say, you know what, you might need to study this. Is because even with me knowing, my own journey, right? Knowing where I am in my life and knowing that I'm in a place of contentment. And I've been telling y'all that for, months and weeks and however long now. That it's like, you know what? I'm finally at peace with where the Lord has me and things like that. Somehow I still find myself in these places of being like, wow, she's able to do all this traveling, or wow, she's able to, take her friends out to another country, or wow, she's able to, and then you're like, well, why is it that, these people, they're not focused on you and your will, they're not focused on this or that and the other, but they able to do all these amazing things and they got all this access and da 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 da. But then, your daughter's over here, like, it's almost like we struggling, right, to make ends meet and things like that. And then we start questioning our own journey, our own path, what God has us doing. Like when I'm over here, and I ain't not trying to like puff myself up, but I'm just trying to like remind myself again where God has me. So I'm over here like sowing seeds into the next generation, and she's sowing seeds into the next generation too. But I mean, which seeds is going to be more beneficial for the next generation for real? Like more seeds of envy and lust and things of that nature, or seeds of the spirit, you know what I mean, fruits of the spirit and things of that nature. Like it's important for me to be doing the things I'm doing, you know what I mean? And a lot of times we like to look at someone else and think that, again, someone else's life and journey is better, just because it's different, and so now am I allowed to go? Like Lord was like, you need to say that other stuff about what you say, about what you went through. You right, Lord, you right. So I'm just calling myself out today. Look, stepping on my own toes this morning. But so let me finally share some Bible. What does the word have to say about coveting? So Exodus 20:17, it says, "You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's." This got said a couple of times in the Bible, probably more than a couple, but we should not be coveting anything that is our neighbors. And don't we do that? Look, keeping up with the Joneses, they call it, or again, looking across the fence because somebody else's grass looks greener. Or like my mom told us about this adage that her dad told them when they were younger about the dog that had the bone, and he looked in the river, looked in the reflection and saw a dog with a bone and started barking, and ended up losing his bone, barking at the dog that had a bone, which was just himself. Like all of us do that one way or another, man. Again, and I know it's so easy to do with social media, and just mainstream media. Everything makes it so easy for us to look at somebody else's life, reality TV, all these different things. We're looking at someone else's life, and then everything looks better than our own, and then it's like we're over here, and it goes beyond just having appreciation, right? It goes beyond like, wow, that's great for them, right? And then goes into, well, why can't that be me? And again, I don't know nothing about the lady, you know what I'm saying, beyond the business endeavors and traveling and da 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 da, and the little bit that I've seen on social media about the lady, right? So one thing that I learned, and I wrote this in my book, but one thing I learned like years ago, and so it's just interesting that I'm still, not say that I'm still going through this, but like but anyway, so one thing I learned years ago was that when we do that, again, you don't know someone else's life, you don't know someone else's story, what they went through, what they did to get what they have, and you could be over here wishing and wanting something that could be your downfall, right? One of the things that what I shared, the example that I shared in my book was, so there was this one time, one of my friends, she went to a mutual friend's house. So me and her went to a mutual friend's new home. I think she went to go like congratulate her, whatever it was. And it was like this town home and whatnot. So at that time I lived in an apartment, a nice apartment, I'm living on my own. I was doing my thing, right? So we went over to her friend's place, and it was this like 2-level, town home and everything like that, garage, all this type of stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is great. We looking around. She's showing us around and stuff like that. Telling us, she bought da 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 da. And I'm like, man, this is great. Wow, this is better than my apartment. Thinking these type of things in my mind as she's giving us the tour. Then she takes us to the kitchen. And she shows us, the space, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to be renovating X, Y, and Z. And I'm seeing all this water damage in the space. And the Lord revealed to me then, and I guess I'm sharing with you guys now. Again, it's in my book, but whatever. Basically, what was revealed to me at that time is that, again, I'm sitting here, right? looking down on my situation, right? Looking down on my apartment, looking down on, what God had blessed me with, to covet, right? Or envy or this or whatever the case may be over this lady and her 2-story townhome and all this type of stuff. When I didn't know about the water damage, right, in her place. I didn't know about the extra work that she needed to do to get the place to where mine was. Like, I didn't have no water damage in my apartment, things like that. And so, sure, it's great to, her situation might have been better because it's like, you own this place, you're fixing it up the way you want it to be, X, Y, and Z is 2 levels, it got a garage. That's wonderful and beautiful for her, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, to celebrate someone else and stuff like that. But I think, again, it was just at that particular time, not knowing about the water damage and then having that whole thing and then seeing that afterwards. Like I said, for me, that was a word. That was a word to remind me that, what, again, what someone else has to go through or what someone else is going through to get and have what they have. So I hope that's encouraging and inspiring, y'all. I'm trying to give y'all some stuff in real time. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is real testimonies right here. I ain't just, making stuff up. So again, so one of the things I've been doing over the years to help me combat this, and I feel like I've shared it before, but here it is again, since I'm sitting here talking about this today. So y'all may know I got this group. It's called Unwind Self-Care and Sip Spa. This group on Facebook, and it's a group of women. And one thing I'm doing in the group is try to encourage us to, hey, ladies, let's not forget to take time for ourselves, take time to unwind, self-care. But I also try to be intentional about shouting other people out. So if I see any of the members in the group, I tell them to share their own stuff, but they don't be doing it. So I have to do it for them sometimes. And so, for example, if I see somebody, it's their birthday, or I see somebody, they started a new business, or they, graduated, or they just had a baby, or whatever it is, I try to, share it in the group so we all can celebrate, right? And I want to say earlier this morning, I had shared this quote that said, something along the lines of we're clapping for people over here, we're not hating, or something like that. And so I've been intentional about again, when I see something that I, maybe I desire, maybe I want to have, or whatever the case may be, instead of allowing myself to be envious and dwell too deep about it, I try my best to celebrate that person, clap for that person, like their post, share it, things of that nature, switching that quote unquote energy, right, from the coveting, right, to celebration. So I've been trying to do that, you know what I'm saying? Now, granted, again, maybe I went a little too deep with thinking about what the young lady, or whatever the case may be, and her, what she got going on and stuff, to get me to this point to talk about this today. But this could all be for a reason. Maybe whoever's listening to the sound of my voice will be, again, encouraged and inspired by this conversation today, because it can get so close. We can toe the line between, again, celebrating somebody and then getting that jealous, envious, coveting spirit on us. So don't let the enemy do it. If you do your best to celebrate that person, celebrate that person. If you got to unfollow that person, unfollow the person. Whatever you got to do to, I guess, we got to kill this thing. And matter of fact, I feel like there was verses that was reiterating that. So let me go ahead and get into sharing some more. Ephesians 5:5, it says, "For you may be sure of this, that everyone who is sexually immoral or impure, or who is covetous, that is an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of God." In the kingdom of Christ and God. So obviously there was a lot of things that was said alongside of the coveting, but if we focused on the coveting part, it's in parentheses add on to say that is idolatry. So as we're coveting someone else, their life, one of the things that they have and things like that, we are making an idol of that thing, that person, and that is not what we should do. Again, everything belongs to the Lord. And so we need to be holding him in that honor and place. We shouldn't be putting anything above him. And so, that's just something to think about. Let me give you guys another verse. Colossians 3:5, it says, "Put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you: sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry." So they said it again. And I'm even reiterating what I was saying earlier about putting to death these earthly things. And so, again, maybe this is just something else that needs to be pruned from your girl's life. You know what I'm saying? And that's all right. I can, ain't nothing wrong with going through a pruning season and letting the Lord take certain things away. So you can be quote unquote perfect. Now we ain't gonna never achieve it, but we can, again, try our best to strive to be more and more like Christ. And so, let's not make idols out of things that isn't ours. Like, now there may be things, again, there could be things that God is using to inspire you, things like that. So by all means, I'm not saying like, oh, you got to unfollow everybody or whatever case may be. Where you are, right? If continuing to follow this person is going to make you stumble, then cut it off and don't follow them, right? But if you can follow somebody and celebrate them and things like that, then do that. Or if it's a situation where, again, maybe God just want to use this as motivation for you, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Put things where they should be, but always put God first. And I mean, I guess ultimately that's the juice. That's the juice this morning. Now, the Bible verse of today, it is 1 Peter 5, 8, and 9. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in you or in your brethren that are in the earth or in the world. So there you go, friends. I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Tomorrow is Friday, so we have a new episode of the GSL Talk Show coming out. Our guest is Mr. Chief Yuya, and I don't know what I want to say about the gentleman. Like, I mean, interaction with his people and him was interesting, to say the least. More so interesting with his people, because they reached out to me and about him being on the show, and I was communicating with them before the show and whatnot. And then when I met him, the conversation ended up being a little different than I thought it was going to be. And not in a bad way, just I don't know if it's just me and my discernment. I don't know what it is. But so there's some things I'll say this, because I don't want it. Y'all can, again, use your own discernment as you listen to people and things like that. Again, all are welcome, and I may not fully agree with, or X, Y, and Z, everybody that comes to the GSL Talk Show. So the only thing I would say about him, since we're on this, I don't know why the Lord got me talking so deep about the situation. But anyway, I guess what I would say is he seemed to be very knowledgeable about biblical things. And but I can't say I agree with everything that he has going on. And I'm not sure what all he has going on in the ministry that he's doing. But use your discernment and tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. to the GSL Talk Show. But y'all have a great, great Thursday, and I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow, the Lord as well. Bye-bye. And there you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing. All those wonderful things. Yeah, man, listen, let's not be coveting out here, y'all. Let's not be, doing that. And again, I no shade to Chief Yuya, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's on their own journey and stuff like that. So I can't sit here and say, nothing too much. I'm just going to say, y'all watch and use your own discernment.